is when it goes below freezing at night and it rises above freezing during the day. Have we had that happen lately?
No.
Yes, it's happening today. It was cold last night.
Yes.
And it was warm today. It's going to be warm today. It's going to be like 50 degrees today.
Yeah, it is warm.
It is pretty warm already, yeah. Because of the snow, it's a little cold. Okay, so I have 2 tips for you, okay? If your feet are starting to feel a little cold, go like this in your shoes with your toes. Sort of squish them up and stretch them out and keep them moving in your shoes, okay? Now what I'd like to do is we are going to walk back through time. Walk back through time using our imaginations, and we're going to go back to, let's go back to 1100 AD. We're going to go back 1,000 years from today. Okay? So let's head this way. 1978, it was a great year for disco. It was a great year for dancing. It was a great year for roller skates. It was a fabulous time. But 1978 is important to me because that's the first year the Environmental Education Center was here, and that's the first year they did sugaring here. So let's go back in time a little bit more. Here is 1778. And what happened here in 1778 is, you see that house over there?
Yes.
Now that's not the same house that was here in 1778. That was 2 houses ago. But the same footprint, okay? The same basement. That was where George Washington, our first president, would come to meet with one of his generals from the Revolutionary War. His general's name was Lord Stirling. Lord Stirling. And Lord Stirling was the supply master general for the U.S. Army for about a year. And he was able to do that. The way you got the supply master general job is you bought everybody's stuff. You paid for everybody's uniforms, all their weapons, all their food, all the tents. You bought everything. He was a rich guy when he started. He was broke when he finished. But he and his wife and his daughter Kitty all lived in that house. And on any given day, you'd see them coming and going. Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. What 3 ships did he find North America with? There's 3 boats. Can you name one boat? Nope, not the Mayflower.
The Titanic?
Not the Titanic.
See that book?
I forgot.
One of them is a girl's name.
It starts with an S. Santa Maria.
Santa Maria is one of them.
Medea?
Nope. The Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. So let's say Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria. We're going to say them all together 3 times. Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria. Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria. Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria.
Let's go back.
So, what 3 ships did he sail on?
Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria.
All right. Was he the first European to discover North America?
No. Yes.
Okay, those of you who say yes, that's what your history books are going to teach you at school. The real answer is no!
Yes. Yes. When I said no,
Okay, people had been coming here from Europe for a couple of 100 years, about 500 years by the time Christopher Columbus discovered North America. They had been coming here to North America for one of our valuable commodities, one of our valuable natural resources. Codfish. Codfish. They were coming here to go fishing because we had awesome fishing. And the fish were big, and they would catch them at sea, and they'd land on the beach, and they'd dry them out so they could pack them in the holes and bring them back to Europe. Now, we have 2 rows of benches here. There's enough room for everybody to sit down who wants to sit down. If you'd like to stand up, you're welcome to. Just stand behind the benches. If you sit in the front row this time, you're going to sit in the back row next time.
Don't step on the bench.
Who can share with us what a legend is? What does the word legend mean? If I was to look it up in the dictionary, what would I find? Okay, it's a story about the past, maybe. It's like a myth. There's a little bit of truth in there, maybe, but it's a really good story. Yep. Johnny Appleseed is a perfect example of a legend or a myth. And actually, Johnny Appleseed, his name was John Chapman. There's a lot of things about John Chapman that in the Johnny Appleseed that were true, but there were also a lot of other things about him that were true too. And so that's a good example of a myth and a legend. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you a myth about how maple sugaring got discovered. Maple sugaring was discovered by the Northeast Woodlands Indians, or we call them Native Americans, okay? The Native Americans, did they write a lot of stuff down back in 1100 or 900?
No.
No, they definitely did not. How did they share their stories?
Yes, that's right.
Nope, they didn't write anything in the stone. How did the stories get carried on? Orally, by mouth, that's right. They used the oral tradition. They'd tell the stories to the younger kids, and the younger kids would grow up, and then they'd tell the story to the younger kids, and then they'd grow up, and that's how stories got passed from generation to generation. Okay? I'm sure there's things in your life that it's a story that you know from another generation. It might be a story that you hear at school. It might be a story that you hear from your family, but it's not necessarily written down anywhere. That's part of your oral tradition. Now, what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to pretend for the next little bit, we're going to pretend that we're a Native American tribe. Does anybody know what tribe lived in New Jersey? What tribe lived in New Jersey?
The Indians.
What was the name? What was that?
The Indians.
I think I heard you say it.
Lenape.
The
Lenape.
You said the Lackawannas? That was a
Lenape.
part of it.
Wampanoag.
But they're called the Lenapes.
Lenape.
The Lenapes. That's what they call themselves as a group.
Lenape.
They call
Lenape.
themselves the Lenapes.
Lenape.
And the Lenapes lived very closely associated with the land. They had long houses. Their houses were covered with, they were made of tree saplings, and they were covered on the outside with bark. They didn't use teepees. That was something they did out west. But they didn't stay in one place for very long. They'd stay a season here, and then they'd move to their another seasonal spot. And they traveled from camp to camp to camp to camp all year long. And that was a good thing because it helped them stretch out their resources and make it go a little bit longer. The Lenape used to spend their summers in the Great Swamp. How do we know this? We actually have an archaeology dig site here in a place called Lenape Meadow, where we've excavated where one of their longhouses were. And we know it was a summer hunting camp, which is kind of cool. But this story goes back, and it may have been first told by Lenape, who knows when. But it's about a chief.